hands. Everyone wants to stand, I roll in my jack. Fast like the wind, everybody's on the board. Roll to the streets, I'm the man with the plan. Got the world in my hands, every woman wants to stand. I roll in my jag, fast like the wind. Every mission I take, you know I'm gonna win.
Welcome to the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures. Immerse yourself in thrilling escapades, luxurious settings, and captivating storytelling fantasies through ebooks and print editions. Crafted for suspense, adventure, and timeless drama. Join a global community of fans as we dive into great storytelling. Subscribe now and awaken your spirit for excitement, and don't forget to click the link to donate and help me continue creating the stories you love.
Bring the heat to the street when it comes to the ladies. I'm smooth like silk, but don't get it twisted. I'm the man with the milk. For every tear that falls on the hand to hold. In this world of chaos, I'm the story untold.
Let's go. J-Cat, the Unholy Veil. The whispers started in the streets. Murmurs of unchecked power, of twisted morality hiding behind cloaks of faith, of the sanctuaries that were supposed to protect but had become dens of deceit. The Maga churches, grand institutions of divine magic, were no longer places of salvation. They were fortresses of greed, ruled by those who had long since forgotten the God they claimed to serve. J-Cat had seen corruption in many forms, political, corporate, criminal, but this was different. The betrayal of trust in the name of faith struck a deeper chord. And when an old friend came to him, eyes hollow with despair, clutching a file of damning evidence, he knew this would be one of the most dangerous battles he'd ever fought. It started with a knock on his door in the dead of night. Annalise Qua, a former acolyte of the Maga Church of Eternal Light, stood on his doorstep. Her robes were torn, her face pale, and her trembling hands clutched a battered leather satchel. "They killed him," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Who?" J-Cat asked, his tone steady as he ushered her inside. "Father Ellery," she replied, collapsing onto his couch. "He found out. He tried to stop them, but her voice caught, and tears streamed down her face. They made it look like an accident. But I know the truth." J-Cat handed her a glass of water and sat across from her, his intense gaze never leaving her face. "Start from the beginning." Annalise spoke of the church's transformation over the years. What had once been a haven for the downtrodden and a beacon of hope had become a gilded cage. The archimages, the high-ranking officials of the church, no longer preached compassion or humility. Instead, they flaunted wealth and power, their sermons laced with veiled threats to those who questioned their authority. "They claim their magic is a gift from God," Annalise said bitterly. "But they use it to control people, to amass wealth, to silence dissent." Father Ellery found out they were siphoning donations, money meant for the poor, and funneling it into offshore accounts. When he confronted them, she trailed off, her voice trembling. J-Cat opened the satchel she'd brought. Inside were documents, ledgers, and photographs, evidence of embezzlement, blackmail, and even disappearances. It was worse than he'd imagined. "Why come to me?" he asked. "Because no one else will stand up to them," she replied. "The police are in their pocket, and anyone who tries to expose them ends up dead. You're the only one who doesn't bow to power." J-Cat leaned back, his jaw tightening. "You're right about that." J-Cat began his investigation with surgical precision. His first stop was the sprawling cathedral at the heart of the city, a grandiose structure that loomed over the skyline like a monument to excess. He attended a service, blending into the crowd as he observed the Archmaga delivering a fiery sermon about generosity and obedience. After the service, J-Cat slipped into the restricted areas of the cathedral. He moved like a shadow, bypassing wards and magical locks with the help of a few tricks he'd picked up over the years. In the archimage's private chambers, he found gold-plated furnishings, rare magical artifacts, and a safe hidden behind a painting. Cracking the safe, he uncovered more evidence, contracts, bank statements, and a list of names. Each name was marked with a code, L for loyalists, T for threats. At the top of the threats list was Father Ellery. The deeper J-Cat dug, the more he realized how far the corruption spread. The Archmagas weren't acting alone. They were part of a larger network, a secret cabal that used religion as a facade to control governments, businesses, and even criminal organizations. "They've created a system where faith is a commodity," J-Cat told Riz during a late-night meeting. She had joined him to offer her tech expertise, hacking into encrypted communications between the Archmagas and their benefactors. "This isn't just about money," Riz said, scrolling through the intercepted messages. "They're dealing in magical trafficking, selling rare artifacts and even people with innate magical abilities." J-Cat's expression darkened. "Then we burn it to the ground." Armed with the evidence, J-Cat orchestrated a plan to expose the cabal. He reached out to trusted journalists, whistleblowers, and underground networks that still valued truth. But he knew it wouldn't be enough to just release the information. The Archmagas would spin it, claim persecution, and use their influence to bury the story. Under the cover of darkness, J-Cat infiltrated the cathedral once more. This time, he wasn't just gathering evidence, he was planting it. A cleverly disguised spell bomb, courtesy of Riz, was hidden in the Archmaga's vault. When detonated, it would release a projection of all their crimes, broadcasting it to the magical networks and rendering it impossible to suppress. The plan didn't go off without a hitch. As J-Cat made his escape, he was confronted by a group of enforcers, Magas loyal to the Archmagas. The ensuing fight was brutal, a clash of raw power and unrelenting determination. J-Cat fought with a precision honed through years of experience, his movements fluid and deadly. The enforcer's spells lit up the dark corridors, but he outmaneuvered them, using their own arrogance against them. When the last enforcer fell, J-Cat activated the spell bomb. As he emerged from the cathedral, the city's skies lit up with the projections, Magas of embezzlement, betrayal, and the true face of the Arch-Magas. The fallout was immediate. Protests erupted, faith in the Maga churches crumbled, and the Arch-Magas were forced into hiding. Law enforcement, under immense public pressure, launched investigations. While some of the Cabal members managed to flee, their network was irreparably Maga'd. Annalise approached J-Cat as he watched the news coverage from a cafe. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with awe. He shook his head. "I just gave the people the truth. What they do with it is up to them." She smiled. "You've restored hope, J-Cat. Not just in the church, but in what's right." He met her gaze, his expression unreadable. "Hope's a fragile thing. But sometimes, it's enough." As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, J-Cat walked away, knowing there were more battles ahead. But for now, he had struck a blow against greed and corruption, proving once again that even the most untouchable institutions could fall when confronted by an unstoppable force. The Maga churches didn't crumble quietly. The Arch-Magas who escaped the public reckoning were already mobilizing, calling on their most ruthless allies to strike back. Rogue mercenaries, dark Magas, and corrupt politicians rallied to their cause, forming a hidden force determined to reclaim their power and punish those who dared to expose them. J-Cat knew this fight wasn't over. The system they had built was centuries old, and its roots ran deep. A single blow, no matter how devastating, wasn't enough to destroy it completely. He needed to dismantle the entire machine. Annalise became a symbol of resistance, her bravery inspiring others who had suffered under the Maga church's corruption to step forward. She began speaking at rallies, calling for reforms and justice. But her newfound prominence also made her a target. "They're watching her," Riz warned, sliding a folder of surveillance photos across the table. "The Arch-Magas still loyal to the Cabal are planning something big. If they take her out, it'll send a message to everyone else thinking of standing up." J-Cat didn't hesitate. "Then we make sure that doesn't happen." The Arch-Magas' retaliation began at a charity gala hosted by one of their hidden supporters. Annalise had been invited as an honored guest, unaware that the event was a trap. The opulent ballroom was filled with influential figures, but beneath the glamour lurked assassins disguised as servers and guards. J-Cat was there, too, blending seamlessly into the crowd. He wore a tailored suit, his piercing gaze scanning the room for any sign of danger. Riz, watching from a surveillance van parked nearby, fed him real-time intel through an earpiece. "They've got 6 armed guards near the exits," Riz reported. "And 2 more near the stage. This isn't just an intimidation tactic. They mean to kill her." J-Cat adjusted his cufflinks, his mind racing. "Not on my watch." As Annalise stepped onto the stage to deliver her speech, the lead assassin made his move, raising a concealed wand to cast a deadly spell. But before he could strike, J-Cat appeared behind him, his movements silent and precise. With a swift motion, J-Cat disarmed the assassin and incapacitated him with a well-placed strike. The commotion drew the attention of the other enforcers, who rushed toward him with spells and weapons ready. The ballroom erupted into chaos as J-Cat engaged the attackers. His combat style was a mesmerizing blend of martial skill and cunning, using the environment to his advantage. A champagne bottle became a weapon, a tablecloth a makeshift shield. Spells lit up the room, but J-Cat dodged and countered with ruthless efficiency. Riz's voice crackled in his ear. "Security's on its way. You've got 3 minutes to get Annalise out of there." J-Cat fought his way to the stage, grabbing Annalise's arm. Time to go, he said, his tone calm despite the chaos around them. Together, they navigated the pandemonium, J-Cat taking down anyone who dared to stand in their way. They escaped through a hidden service entrance just as reinforcements arrived. J-Cat brought Annalise to a safe house on the outskirts of the city. It was a modest cabin, surrounded by dense woods that provided natural cover. As she sat by the fireplace, still shaken from the attack, J-Cat handed her a cup of tea. "I thought I was ready for this," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But seeing how far they're willing to go, it's terrifying." J-Cat sat across from her, his expression softer than usual. "Fear's a natural reaction. But you didn't let it stop you. That's what makes you stronger than them." She looked at him, gratitude and admiration shining in her eyes. "How do you do it? How do you keep fighting, knowing the odds are against you?" He leaned back, his gaze distant. "Because someone has to. If we let fear win, they get to keep their power. And I don't play that game." The events at the gala were a turning point. The Maga Church's remaining loyalists began to fracture, some abandoning the Cabal out of fear, while others doubled down on their efforts to reclaim control. J-Cat used this division to his advantage, pitting factions against each other and gathering allies from within their ranks. He exposed more secrets, dismantling the Cabal's influence piece by piece. Riz's tech skills proved invaluable, uncovering encrypted communications and hidden assets that tied the Cabal to their crimes. Annalise, despite her initial fear, became a powerful voice for change, rallying the faithful to demand accountability and transparency. The last stronghold of the Cabal was an ancient monastery hidden deep in the mountains. It was a place of dark magic, where the Archmagas conducted their most sinister rituals. J-Cat knew this would be the final battle, the moment where the Cabal's fate would be decided. He infiltrated the monastery under cover of night, navigating its labyrinthine corridors with the help of Riz's guidance. The air was heavy with malevolent energy, the walls adorned with symbols of power and greed. The Archmagas were gathered in the central chamber, conducting a ritual to summon a powerful entity that would solidify their dominance. J-Cat interrupted the ceremony with an explosive entrance, his arrival announced by a flash of light and a thunderous crash. "What's the matter?" he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Didn't think I'd come knocking?" The ensuing fight was a battle of wills and skill, J-Cat facing off against the Archmagas and their dark magic. He fought with relentless determination, his movements a blur of precision and strength. When the last Archmaga fell, the ritual was disrupted, the chamber collapsing as the dark magic was undone. J-Cat escaped just in time, the monastery crumbling behind him as the sun rose over the mountains. The fall of the Cabal marked a new beginning for the Maga churches. Reforms were implemented, and those who had abused their power were held accountable. Annalise became a leader in the movement to restore faith, her courage and resilience inspiring countless others. As for J-Cat, he disappeared into the shadows once more, his mission complete. But his legacy remained, a reminder that even in the face of corruption and greed, one person's determination could make a difference. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of the world, J-Cat allowed himself a rare moment of peace, knowing that for now, justice had prevailed. The fallout from the Maga Church's corruption scandal sent shockwaves across the faithful communities. The exposé had ripped away the gilded veneer of sanctity, revealing greed, deceit, and manipulation beneath. Congregations that had once been filled with reverent whispers and hymns now echoed with anger and disillusionment. J-Cat watched from the back of the grand cathedral as the accused pastors shuffled toward the altar. Their robes, once symbols of divine authority, now seemed hollow and tarnished. They stood in front of the congregation, their heads bowed, murmuring rehearsed apologies. "We have sinned," one pastor stammered, his voice cracking under the weight of his shame. "We humbly ask for your forgiveness. We are but flawed servants of the Lord." A voice interrupted him, cutting through the air like a blade. "No." The congregation turned toward the source, a woman standing tall in the front row. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with righteous fury. "We trusted you. We believed in you. And you betrayed us, for wealth, for power, for things of this world. You don't belong here anymore." One by one, others stood up, echoing her sentiment. "Forgiveness isn't yours to ask for, not from us. You need to answer to God and to the law. For years, you exploited us, took our money, and crushed our faith. How dare you come here asking for a second chance?" J-Cat leaned against a marble column, arms crossed as he observed the scene. This was what he'd hoped for, a congregation no longer willing to be complicit in their own exploitation. They were taking a stand, reclaiming their faith from those who had corrupted it. The pastors exchanged uneasy glances, their carefully crafted apologies unraveling under the weight of the crowd's anger. "We're sorry," another pastor pleaded, his voice cracking. "We were misled, tempted." "Enough," a man in the crowd bellowed. "Your time here is over. We demand that the law remove every single one of you from this sacred place. You're not shepherds of God. You're wolves in sheep's clothing." The demand quickly gained traction. Representatives from the justice system, present to maintain order, stepped forward to address the situation. A young prosecutor took the floor, her voice steady but resolute. "These pastors are under investigation for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy," she said. "We've uncovered evidence that implicates them in numerous crimes, both against this congregation and the larger community. As per your demand, we will proceed with their immediate removal from these premises and the initiation of legal proceedings." The congregation erupted into applause and cheers. The pastors were led away in handcuffs, their heads bowed, not in humility, but in defeat. With the corrupt leaders gone, the congregation turned to each other. For years, they had relied on the pastors to guide their faith, but now they realized they didn't need intermediaries to connect with the divine. "We don't need them to tell us how to worship," one man said. "This is our house of God. Let's take it back." The congregation began to organize, forming committees to ensure transparency and accountability in the church's future leadership. They decided to open the doors to the community, transforming the once exclusive Maga church into a sanctuary for everyone, regardless of status or wealth. J-Cat slipped out of the cathedral as the congregation celebrated their newfound unity. He wasn't one for standing in the spotlight, his work was done, and it was time to move on. Riz was waiting for him outside, leaning against the hood of their car. "Looks like they didn't need much help from you in the end," he remarked, a smirk tugging at his lips. "That's the goal," J-Cat replied, sliding into the driver's seat. "People shouldn't need someone like me to fix things. They should be able to take back their power on their own." As they drove away, the cathedral bell began to toll, its deep, resonant chime echoing across the city. It was a new dawn for the congregation, a chance to rebuild their faith on a foundation of truth and justice. And for J-Cat, it was another battle won in a war that never truly ended.
And that's a wrap on another thrilling episode. From heart-pounding action to emotional connections, Jay Bahari will never fails to excite. Don't miss the next adventure. Subscribe now for more suspense, romance, fantasy and mystery. Want to dive deeper? Grab an ebook on Etsy or a paperback on Amazon to keep the excitement going. You can also catch the podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or Amazon Music. If you're hooked on the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat adventures, show your support today. Click the link to donate, and help us continue creating the stories you love. Until next time, stay adventurous, there's no mystery is too big to solve. Disclaimer and notes. The Adventures of the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures is a work of fiction. The characters, events, and settings depicted in this series are the products of the author's imagination and are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. This series contains mature themes, including but not limited to romantic and erotic content, that may not be suitable for all audiences. Reader discretion is advised. The depictions of relationships, encounters, and situations are intended for entertainment purposes only and do not reflect real-life practices or endorse any specific behaviors. The portrayal of characters, including their actions and interactions, is intended to be a dramatic and fictional narrative. The series is not intended to promote or condone any form of violence, exploitation, or abuse. The characters of the Souls of the Horizon and J-Cat Adventures, while depicted as a hero in fictional scenarios, is a creation meant to entertain and should not be considered a role model for real-life behavior. Readers are reminded that this is a work of fiction and should enjoy it as such. Any interpretations or applications of the content within real-world contexts are the responsibility of the reader. The author and publishers disclaim any liability for actions taken by readers based on fictional portrayals and scenarios in the series. Notes: J. Bahari, the imaginative mind behind the Souls of the Horizon and the Adventures of J. Cat, has a unique talent for weaving tales of mystery, romance, fantasy and adventure. With a flair for creating captivating characters and intricate plots. J. Bahari's storytelling is enriched by a deep understanding of human nature and a keen eye for detail, crafting narratives that resonate with both excitement and emotional depth. Each episode of The Souls of the Horizon and J. Cat's Adventures is a testament to Bahari's ability to blend intrigue with passion, creating a world where the extraordinary becomes reality. In this creative journey, J. Bahari has harnessed the power of artificial intelligence to enhance the storytelling process. With the help of AI input, Bahari has been able to explore new dimensions of creativity, pushing the boundaries of conventional storytelling to deliver an experience that is both innovative and compelling. Together, J. Bahari and AI have crafted a series that not only entertains but also captivates the imagination, inviting readers into a world where seduction and suspense intertwine in the most alluring ways. This collaboration stands as a testament to the endless possibilities that arise when human creativity meets cutting-edge technology, forging a path to stories that are as mesmerizing as they are unforgettable.
Of compassion, he decodes old school soul in a digital age. J. Bahari's love breaking out of rage. Soul ambition.